everybody to the Single and Stiletto Show. I'm Suzanne Oshima, and I'm a matchmaker and dating coach at Dream Bachelor and Bachelorette. I'm also the founder of Single and Stilettos. Today we have on our show Patty Contenta, and she is the founder of Sensuality Secrets. And I'm so excited to have her here today because she's going to talk about some amazing topics that I'm sure you've never heard of, and she's really going to give you the secrets on how to attract a man. But before we get started, I would love, Patty, for you to tell our audience how you got started in this business of sensuality.
Great, absolutely. Great to be here, by the way, Suzanne. I'm thrilled to do this. So how it basically, it was catapulted by a divorce. I went through a divorce, and when I realized that I need to get back into the whole dating scene again and gain my confidence back, I felt like I had no tools, something that I thought was so natural that I was doing when I was in my 20s. I said, okay, now I'm like 30 something, and now what? And I basically I realized that the woman that I am on a competitive ballroom dance floor, because I am first and foremost a competitive ballroom dancer. I own a ballroom dance studio. It's what I spend most of my livelihood doing and coaching in. I noticed that I was this really sultry, mysterious, alluring woman. And I said, I wonder if I can be this in everyday life. And will that help me in my dating scenario? And I started to first journal everything that I do on the dance floor. So I looked at how I walked, how I moved, how I touched myself. And then I started with myself and saying, well, let me try this now. So I'd be standing in line at Starbucks, at a bank, walking down the street and applying all these tips, and noticed that I was getting a lot of attention. And then I said, okay, now I know it works with me, and maybe it's because I'm so aware of my body, because I'm a dancer. Let me try this on people that don't have the same background.
Right.
And then I started to do this with a bunch of women, some friends and others, and I realized they were getting the same results. So that's when I said, okay, this makes sense. Let me start putting it together with an ebook and then DVDs and so on. And I realized that it's just helping women to get back into their feminine, flirtatious, playful side that we've kind of forgotten because we're so much in our masculine in our everyday lives because of the things that we need to do and get accomplished. So I sort of developed that first as a personal way because I needed help, and then started to share that with other people, and so there you have it.
Wow, that's amazing. So that's great. So today's topic is how to flirt with your hands, and Patty's going to tell us the 4 hot zones you should touch a man when you're out on a date to get positive results. So Patty, tell us what these 4 hot zones are. I'm dying to know.
Okay, this is great. With hands, like I'm so tactile. I love to feel, and I love to be touched like I love to touch. Granted, some women sometimes feel uncomfortable, and this is why I talk about these hot zones, quote unquote, because they're worried about maybe coming across too forward. But when it's done from a playful standpoint and from just touching to sort of acknowledge his presence, some men actually wait for the woman to go first because, again, they're afraid that if they go first, she's going to think that I'm being too forward.
Right.
So you have to feel that out. In my scenario, I'm often touched first because I really make it comfortable for a man to go ahead, I'm all cool with it. So I rarely have to do it first, but I also sometimes do it first because of the situation, and it's something that you have to intuitively feel out. So the 4 hot zones are: 1, touching any kind of item on him that you enjoy, be it his watch, his jacket, his tie. It's a wonderful way to acknowledge and to compliment a man, because I really feel that flirting is about giving compliments, because you could appreciate them. I love to receive compliments, and I love to give it. So I know that if I give him a compliment about something of his stature or what he's wearing, I can also touch it to sort of create that extra imprint. Because that's what hands do. They really do give that zoom to the subconscious mind. I really like this watch. And you stay there and you touch it and you ask him the story behind it. What's the story behind the watch? Was it given to you? Did you buy it? And when you buy, what made you choose this watch? So now you're sharing the story about a watch, and you've imprinted something to him by touching it. So there's something that he's wearing, anything that you like. Even if it's a jacket, his lapel, you say, wow, that's a really nice jacket. Where did you get it? The tie, whatever that may be,
Exactly. And I have to add in that I think a lot of ladies forget that men love to be complimented just as much as you do. And We love to receive compliments, but you have to give them too. If a man that you're dating or that you just met, even if you've just met him, I've done this, is that if he's wearing a great tie, you say, wow, that's a really great tie. It looks great on you. And men love that. You will watch, and I've done this, where you watch a man's body language completely change when you compliment him. He's so receptive.
Absolutely, because you're noticing, we do the same thing. We love to receive it for the same reasons. You say, wow, you're validating me.
Right.
To a certain degree, that's what compliments does. Even though it's not about the validation, but we feel validated because, wow, you noticed that. Thank you. So yes, I'm all about compliments, and the touching of that just creates a bigger imprint. So anything that he's wearing.
Okay.
The other thing is extremities. Sometimes women don't feel comfortable with going there, or what do I touch? So the extremities are always a safe zone. The hand, the wrist, the arm, the shoulder. These are all areas where when he's talking about something, you could say, oh, I really love how you feel about that, and you just kind of touch to imprint it, and say, wow, that's a great thought. I never thought about that. And then you just for a moment, and you touch, and then you lean back, and you're sort of acknowledging a thought that he said through touching. And this came very apparent to me when I was teaching, when students are sharing things, or they're feeling kind of, nervous or edgy. I know that my hand on the shoulder on his arm will just calm him and just say, wow, that's great. And just leave it there and just say, I'm good and you're good and this is all good. So just that physical calming effect of a moment of touching and just saying, I appreciate that thought, or I appreciate you, without even saying a word, goes a long way because it's felt.
Right.
So it does that. And again, you decide how far all of this needs to go, because a lot of women always are worried about, yeah, but that's coming across so forward. It's really not. It's really about, hey, I like you, let's share things. This does not necessarily have to mean a sexual encounter.
Exactly.
Sensuality is for the world to see, and touching is part of that, and it's okay. And as long as we're not touching, obviously any part in the middle of the body, then that's sexual, right?
Right.
Touch his butt, you touch, now we're talking, it's a whole other thing, squeeze his behind.
You're going to send a different message there.
So we get what we're saying there. So there's the touching the extremities, and then finally, and sometimes even if I'm sitting next to him and he says something funny, I'll touch his knee or his thigh, just say, that was so funny, and whatever. But I know with some women that's not always comfortable. Right. I'm comfortable with that. I know how to set a boundary, even if I touch a thigh or a knee. Exactly. But that's at your discretion. Start with the arm if that's what you're comfortable with, the shoulder, etc. And then the last one is often when I'm walking through a crowd, and maybe you're in a situation where there's a lot of people around, you need to go to the powder room. I will, as I'm passing through men, I'll touch his shoulder, I'll touch his lower back, and I'll say, excuse me, I'm just headed towards the powder room. And I'll smile and I'll acknowledge his presence by touching his back. And it's just to leave an imprint, so that I hope he remembers me as I pass by. Or even if the guy that I'm with, if I'm standing next to him, I might touch his back. Again, you could touch his upper back. That's less obvious than his lower back. You decide the range. Higher up is safer than lower. Again, but those are places where you can leave imprints. So
when you touch the lower back, though, is that okay to do on a first date, or should that be more when you're dating a guy for a while, like after 3 or 4 dates?
I think it depends on the scenario. Like, for example, I often like to go on walks with men because I like to be, I don't like the sort of sit down and let's have a conversation. I like to be doing something. So I'm a walker. I love, let's go for a walk and we'll have a coffee while we're walking, or an ice cream or something. And sometimes it may happen as we're walking, he'll sort of reach over and I'll just acknowledge that and reach on the lower back and then continue. So if we're in a side-by-side situation, it could be a first date, but he may have initiated it, or I started off with this and then I realized we're suddenly getting a little closer because the chemistry is strong. Right. So then it's okay to go there. So that's where you have to test out and see, well, how far along have we come? It's not something you do right away, but in the conversation, as the date is sort of, the chemistry is getting stronger, and there's been those softer, sort of safer touches that you can go there. But often it's been where I'm walking side by side and we say something and I saw that was funny or that's cool. And, I touch him there and I keep going. And it's done in that sort of playful manner. But
exactly.
If that makes sense to you, you can see that, Suzanne. It's not really where, again, the scenario and the context is huge. So you go there, it should feel very natural, but it's because there's probably been those other ones along the way to feel that it's okay to go there next.
Exactly. And ladies, I want to add one thing in that's really, really important, because I know there's some women out there that are afraid to do this type of touching, but it is really important because I work with a lot of male clients when it comes to date coaching. And I will tell you how many men tell me they are so afraid to make that first move and just touch a woman even on her arm. So if you do it first, it gives them the okay that, it's okay to go further. And I don't mean, get her into bed. I mean that if he wants to touch you on your arm or give you a kiss, they always look for a signal. And if you do nothing, they don't know what to do.
And they're not as intuitive as we are. I mean, they are to a certain degree, but they really need obvious signals, what seem obvious to us. Like, we're like, I can't believe he didn't reach over. But if you don't make it so inviting and so comfortable, he won't. He's so afraid to disrespect you in any way that he won't. And that's why I say it's rare that I have to do the first touch, because I really have become so good at, hey, come on over. I'm good with this. So I rarely have to do the first reach. But I've sensed it with some guys who are really maybe the sort of nicer guys. I'll say nice guys that are really so respectful and want to do all the right things. They may not feel comfortable going there first. Exactly. So I've done that to let him know, I realize you're really being nice about this, So I respect that even of him. But they do wait for that because they're so afraid to be seen as inappropriate, sexually forward, because they hear that this is what women are saying, right? So they're like, I'm not going to do anything because I don't want to become across as that. Exactly. So we've probably created that wall as much as we wanted. We've kind of made this happen just from our conversations, so.
Exactly. Well, these have been some great tips. So ladies, on your next first date, I want you to test out these touch tips and tell me how it resulted in a great date. So get back to us and let us know. These have been some great tips, Patty. So give us your final best tip for women when it comes to dating.
That's a great question, and I was thinking about that just as you're saying it. And I think there's several things, but I have to say the idea of eye contact and smiling, we underestimate how men are looking for clues from you as to, am I on the right track? And eye contact and smiling, and my personal little favorite thing is self-touch, because it helps me relax in his space. So I'm always gently touching myself because it just reminds me that I have to stay in my feminine. And then I smile and I look at him. So it's the idea of eye contact, smiling, and self-touch that really helps me say, I'm here, I'm present, I'm in my feminine, and I'm with you.
I love that, because those are three simple things, but every woman can do it, and it's not difficult to do, and I think that's great. So, Patty, how can our audience find you? Because I know now everybody wants to find you because these have been some amazing tips.
Thanks. They can find me on my website. I have lots of articles and information and videos, and my website is sensualitysecrets.com. And if they want to email me personally, they could email me at Patty, Patty, at sensualitysecrets.com.
Great. Well, thanks, Patty, for being on the show. And thanks, ladies, for joining us on the Single and Stilettos show. Our show is available both in video format and podcast format. If you would like to view the videos, you can go to singleandstilettos.com. If you would like to hear the podcast, you can go to iTunes. And if you would like to get our free report on the top 10 secrets on what attracts a man and what turns him off, you can click right here on the video, or you can go to singleandstilettos.com.